Hey guys, James with Oasis. We're actually constructing a kitchen here in our warehouse, and I wanted to walk you through how we kind of set up our countertops, how we go from kind of the setup stage to actually the pouring. So right now, we're setting everything up. We're getting our edges, the box formed out. We're going to be putting edge molds or live edges in the forms that we're making here. So we'll show you that process, but just want to show you kind of the design that we have of the kitchen. What we're actually going to be pouring is this little countertop for the Komodo Joe, that little stand down there. So what Josh has begun doing is he's taking these blue form boards. We use these. You can also use melamine board. You can rip it down to the height of the countertops that you're going to pour. We're pouring 1.5 inch countertops. So you can see we have our 1.5 inch rock molds here for the edges. That'll give it that live rock mold facing on the side of the countertop. Like I said, you can use all types of different materials. You're not limited to this. This is just what we're using in this scenario. You can use things like melamine board. You can rip that down, and you can also use PVC board you can get from Home Depot and different things like that. What we're using for the face of the countertop, we're actually using a 4x8 sheet of melamine board, which you can also get at your local hardware stores or Home Depot. So we're starting off with this. We always like to start on the edge of the melamine board for our first two corners to make sure that we're square. So as I was saying earlier, Josh is screwing this one down to get started, and we're going to go on this side next, basically to make sure our sides are square. And then we'll do our measurements based off of those first two pieces of boards that we put in. So stay tuned. We'll show you kind of as we go here. We'll show you the process as we move forward. One thing you always want to make sure about when you're pouring countertops and you're setting up your tables or your forms for your countertops is you want to make sure that you're pouring on something that is really sturdy and that is also really flat. So just keep in mind, anything that you're creating your countertop on, it's going to cast that exact thing. So if you have a dip in your table, or you have a hump, or you have a low point, when you pour your countertops, that's how it's going to actually get casted. So you could have a bow, or you could have a reverse bow in your countertop, depending on what your table or whatever the surface that you're pouring your countertops is set up to be. So we like to pour them on tables that are really nice and sturdy. They roll around, so we can move them around in the warehouse here. But if you don't have this type of setup, you can always build a wooden platform that's elevated off of the ground. I always recommend never putting your melamine board directly on the ground unless you have a completely flat surface, just because, again, floors usually are never perfect, especially concrete slabs. So I always recommend keeping it elevated, building it on something that's nice and sturdy, that is very flat. It doesn't have to be perfectly level. Our mix is not a self-leveling material. But you do want it to be as level as possible. And then the other thing is, as far as vibrating it, you'll see when we go to pour the countertop, we like to vibrate it to eliminate a lot of the bug holes and pinholes. So when the countertop's elevated, the vibration is actually going to be a lot more effective. So keep that in mind when you're setting up to build your forms for your countertops.